Hey there, Keith here with another video blog. Okay, I know what some of you are saying. Who's this guy? Who's that younger Denzel looking guy? Isn't that the same guy who used to do video blogs? Hey, isn't that the guy who had his scene cut from Magic Mike? Yes, it's me, and I apologize. Quite frankly, I don't really have an excuse other than the fact that life's been getting in the way. But I assure you I will try to do better, as I'll have a little extra time on my hands to film these blogs, because I know at least 70 of you enjoy them. All kidding aside, it's nice to be here in front of the camera talking to you about another movie. The movie I'll be talking to you about, well, we'll get to that in a second. But before we get to the movie, let's talk about Facebook. Now, Facebook's an interesting thing. A huge innovation in our generation, but it's one of those things where I find that people either like Facebook or they detest it. Some people like it because it's a great way to stay in touch with family and friends. Other people don't like it because every other status is a picture of somebody's feet or a picture of somebody's food. I can't necessarily say I ever have or I ever will take a picture of my feet, but I'll tell you something. I have been the guy who's taken pictures of his food before and posted on Facebook. And why wouldn't I? I do a pretty freaking awesome salmon. I also think that Facebook's pretty fun in terms of, catching up with old friends. For the longest time I wasn't on Facebook. That all changed when I started traveling across the country going to different CFL games, and I wanted to keep in touch with a lot of the new friends that I'd been making. But also, Facebook's also a glimpse into the past where you get caught up with a lot of people that you knew from yesteryear. One of those people is my good friend Shelly. Shelly I've known since I was a little kid. Shelly I've known for so long, she has pictures of me when I had an afro. That's why that's one of the reasons why I want to stay in Shelly's good graces, because I never want those pictures seeing the light of day on Facebook. She's a super sweet girl, and if you ever met her, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So tonight, Cheryl and I had the opportunity of going out with Shelly and her husband John, and off to the movies we went. It was Shelly's pick, and she picked Lawless. And I gotta say, Lawless was a very interesting movie. And by interesting, I mean extremely violent. Directed by John Hillcoat, and no, I've never heard of him either, and written by Matt Bondurant, as Matt Bondurant writes the story of his grandfather and his granduncles as they ran a moonshine business back in the 1930s. The movie stars Shia LaBeouf, Tom Hardy, Jessica Chastain, and Gary Oldman pops up a time or two. The performance that really stood out for me in this movie was Tom Hardy, mainly because it's been interesting to see Tom Hardy as he's just morphed into his roles this year, from a CIA agent to Bane in Dark Knight Rises, and now into this. I gotta tell you, Tom Hardy, keep an eye on this guy. He's got a bright future. Now, mind you, he spends a good part of this movie grunting, and it kind of channeled me back to Billy Bob Thornton in his Sling Blade days. But still, Tom Hardy's entertaining to watch on the screen. He's got quite the presence with him. And Jessica Chastain was interesting to watch as well when she had her clothes on. Nonetheless, this movie was very violent. I don't say that lightly. I am saying it for those of you who are a little squeamish who might go and see this movie. If you're a big animal lover, you might want to avert your eyes in the opening moments of the film. And if you have a problem with blood in general, well, you might want to make sure you go on an empty stomach before you see it. There's some movies that use violence, in my opinion, needlessly, and to that I think of Natural Born Killers. But then you have some other movies where it actually makes sense, and this is one of those movies where it probably does, because it fits in with the time. A time of street justice and a time of, if you don't protect yourself, someone's going to try to walk all over you. Now, I gotta say, this movie was pretty good. I'm giving it a B. But I'm giving the company that I had tonight an A+. I think you should check it out, and I think if you do, you'd like it. The thing that I really liked about this movie and this whole experience with Lawless is over the past few months, we've seen movies like The Dark Knight Rises, The Expendables 2, The Avengers, movies that we knew were coming, movies that bowled us over with their trailers and their marketing, their advertising, and we knew they were coming. Lawless is a little different. It kind of sneaks up on you, taps you on the shoulder, and when you turn around, slaps you across the face and says, "Hey, I'm Lawless, check me out." And I'm really glad that we did. It's an enjoyable movie. It is very violent, so be prepared for that. But at the same token, you know what? Very, very fun movie, and I think going to it, you'll have a good time. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at CFL_fan, or check me out on Facebook at facebook.com/Woody Whittier. And until then, I'll see you at the movies.